What's going on, everyone? Welcome to part 3 of me playing every original Xbox game in the NTSC region. We've finally gotten out of launch day with its staggering 22 games, and we have made it to the rest of November 2001. We have a nice blend of games in this selection of 5, one of which intrigues me because why is he blue? No more preamble, so sit back, relax, and maybe even like to subscribe to know when I play more games. As a little added thing for that person that commented about Red Dead Revolver, here's a timeline between the start of 2001 and the end of 2009 to showcase where the Xbox began and ended. Here is where the Xbox started, and we are about here. Here is where Madden 09 released, which is the last game released on the Xbox, and you're commenting about this game here, Red Dead Revolver. We're a long ways from there, but we'll get there eventually. Give me a couple of years, we'll probably be there. Just 4 days after the Xbox hit store shelves, here comes yet another racing game where the devs made it as realistic as they could for 2001 racing game standards. To start, we are going to head into the single player where we have to start in the challenge mode. We cannot enter their career mode called Grand Prix without having 60% of challenge mode done. Just hold the gas down and go straight. If you can cross the line in 12.3 seconds or less, you get the gold. Hold the gas, then brake the second you see the line to stop at. If you stop at the line in 5.45 seconds or less, you get the gold. Take these corners as sharp but safe as possible. If you can finish this in 15 seconds or less, you get the gold. These turns are going to be very tight, especially at such high speeds. Finish in 8.9 seconds or less to get the gold. This one is a bit tricky. Switch over to simulation handling if you haven't already. Using this, we can slow down enough and at the right time to take the hairpin from the inside. Finishing in 8.9 seconds or less gets the gold. We have to get up to 150 miles per hour, then come to a complete stop within the designated area, all while it rains. Doing this in 24.75 seconds or less gets the gold. This one is stupid, fuck this one. Fuck this one too, just fuck weather in racing games. No. What? The tank is empty and the turns are sharp as shit. 13.7 seconds or less gets you the gold. The tank is full and the turns are exactly the same, but we have 14.6 seconds to get the gold. It is at this point that I will say that this mode does not matter at all and is basically no bearing on the completion of this game, and also we will settle for silvers but still tell how to get golds, so once this is at 60% total, we will move on to Grand Prix mode. This one is just a bunch of QTEs that have to be completed with a total time of 31 seconds at the end for gold. Clear these corners in 13.9 seconds or less for gold. Clear the same corners in 18.5 or less for gold, but I'm gonna say fuck it and not do it. Shift gears up with A when this bar is filled with yellow, go up to 7th gear and finish in 12.3 seconds or less for gold. Cut through these corners in 24 seconds or less to get gold. Try not to use full throttle and get to the pit lane in 45 seconds or less for gold. Stay under the speed limit and complete the pit in 7.75 seconds or less for gold. When the flag is yellow, stay under 130, and when the flag is green, light them up. Finish in 37.5 seconds or less for gold. Finally, we made it to the actual game. None of that tutorial shit. These are the options we are going to use for our Grand Prix. There are 17 tracks to race on. Within the challenge mode menu, there is a section where you can practice driving on each track in case you want to get practice in. This game honestly kinda let me down. I don't like playing racing games as if they're sims, but this game lots the part customization behind the simulation handling, which I think is a fumble. As good as the game feels, looks, and sounds, I think 4x4 is better simply because of the ability to tweak the way the car handles without being placed behind a more advanced playstyle option. If they didn't do that, I would have put it above 4x4 Evolution and maybe even under Oddworld. It also suffers from what racing games tend to do for me, and that's slowly get boring and stale the more it's played, but with that, we get a final rating of C. Another sports game in the chamber and ready to play. This game would be comparable to Dart Summit since they're both snowboarding trick-based games. Right off rip, we're gonna head into career mode and spend our skill points as such, make a custom character, select the gear. Go into level select and head into Brighton 1. Before we begin, we have the option to go down 2 different runs, Majestic and Hawkeye. To start, we're gonna go down Hawkeye for our first challenge, high score. 15,000 for the first medal, 30,000 for the second, and 60,000 for the third. Just use these jumps and get grabs for points, grind rails, and try not to bail to not lose the earned points. Throughout the levels, there will be these media jewels that float where you can earn media points if you trick under them. Head down Majestic and do big tricks when you see the camera lens effect. 10,000 for the first medal, 20,000 for the second, and 40,000 for the third. Within every level, there will also be these explore challenges where we need to collect 8 snowmen. These are their locations for Brighton 1, as well as which run I took to get them. Now that we got those out of our way, we can start our first sponsor challenge. We're gonna have to do a bunch of aerial tricks, get big air and do flips, grabs, and spins to get this challenge done. Sponsor 2 needs us to hit as many grab moves as we can and make them feel amped. Sponsor 3 has us doing grinds on rails. Completing this finishes the Brighton 1 level. We now head into Snow Summit 1, which, much like the rest of the game, has a high score challenge, media challenge, explore challenge, and 3 sponsor challenges to complete. The 2 runs on this level are going to be Miracle Mile and West Ridge. For the high score challenge, we're gonna head down West Ridge. 20,000 for the first, 40,000 for the second, and 75,000 for the third. For the media challenge, you can go down either run since I got mine on West Ridge, but it's also doable on Miracle Mile. 15k for the first, 30k for the second, and 50k for the third. Here are the 8 snowmen for the Explore challenge. Sponsor 1 has you doing spins and flips. Sponsor 2 has you doing big air. Sponsor 3 needs to see rail grinds. With that completed, we go into Gunny's Gulch. There's only 1 run on here, so no need to list them. The high score challenge needs 75k to complete. The media challenge needs 50k to complete. Here are the 8 snowman locations. The sponsor challenge needs half-pipe trays. We're now going back to Brighton 1 because we have unlocked a pro challenge. In order to complete this, we have to beat the pro's trick. Follow the pro and do a trick that starts within these circles. Just do tricks that give lots of points and then land it to beat the pro. Do the same thing on Snow Summit 1 as well as Gunny's Gulch. We head back into Brighton, but this time we're on Brighton 2. There are 3 runs on this: Thunder Road, Wren Hollow, and Crest Express. The high score challenge requires 55k, 95k, and 175k. Head down Crest Express for this one. The media challenge requires 30k, 60k, and 120k to complete. Use Wren Hollow for this. I genuinely do not like this game. It's just good enough to want to keep playing, but just mediocre enough to not make any of it feel worth it. The menus are so clunky and slow, the controls take too long to register I'm trying to do a grab after a jump. The game is very cutthroat. If you don't line yourself up perfectly, you're bailing off the board, which is stupid. This game, much like Transworld Surf, just pissed me off. Controls are just so stiff, and I don't think it's a skill curve that I'm hitting. I genuinely think this game just isn't the best design. It's certainly possible to 100% this game, but it is not in me to grind the fuck out of this mid-ass snowboarding game. That was until 2 days later when I tried again and got all 3 medals for high score on my second try. These are the locations for the snowmen for Explore Challenge. Sponsor 1 is our bread and butter, spins and flips. Sponsor 2 is once again something we do often, off-axis tricks, and Sponsor 3 is tweets grabs. Pro 1 has a whopping 11 tricks we have to beat, so there's not much room for error here, but you know the drill, perform tricks that outshine the pros. After completing Brighton 2, we go into Stratton 1. High score challenge is 60k, 110k, and 200k. For this, go down the lower standard run. The media challenge is 30k, 60k, and 120k, using the American Express run. These are the snowmen locations. Sponsor 1 lights rails, Sponsor 2 lights spins and flips, and Sponsor 3 lights rails and nose-tail presses. Pro 1 is exactly the same as the others, just beat the pros tricks to win it. We now follow up Stratton 1 with Autobahn 1. High score challenge is 60k, 110k, and 170k on Mega Schlucht. Media challenge is 30k, 50k, and 100k on Gletscherband. Snowmen. Sponsor 1 lights big air, Sponsor 2 lights off-axis tricks, and Sponsor 3 lights tweets grabs. Pro 1. Slopestyle is the next level, and the runs are Slopestyle and Tenku. The high score is 180k, and the media challenge is 110k. Snow. Never have too much snow. The sponsor lights rails. Fuck Pro 1, fuck Pro 2. I fucking hate this game! I feel the same way about this one as I do Cell Damage. The menus are slow and clunky, the pro NPCs are literally cheating. How the fuck do you have 43,000 points on a trick you just fucking started? The tricks feel weak, the controls feel stiff, the rewards are so mediocre at best that literally everything you do is considered bland and stale and useless. Fuck this game, putting this shit in D. I'm not even kidding, I beat this game in under an hour and a half. The fact that I managed to beat the entire game in what is essentially no time at all, I feel obligated to say there actually was no game at all. I guess I can review it now? There were some characters that felt like they were completely useless, like Tsukuroku. What the fuck are you doing, bro? And Danjo. How does anyone even win with him? Nearly impossible. Genuinely, the only good character in this game is probably the basic ass Shiroko. How the hell did this move disintegrate the boss? The only crime this game commits is not being boring, but not being at all. Still better than Dead or Alive 3. This is the game that I've kind of been looking forward to simply because of how vast it looks and that it plays similarly to Cameo. To 100% this game, we're going to obviously have to beat the main story, but also collect all of the obsidians. The more we collect, the more things we unlock like health upgrades and increased damage.
Friends, at this point in the series, I am doing away with the walkthroughs because it's unnecessarily adding time to the videos that would otherwise be used elsewhere. If you guys want walkthroughs of the games, let me know and I will make them. The level aesthetics are really cool and vibrant and adds a nice variety to the game with each locale, but holy shit is the Fire Realm dark sometimes. Even the caves in every realm are dark as hell for no reason. Sometimes it'll be dark like I'm supposed to see like Riddick, and other times it's just barely bright enough to see the walls and it's hard to predict when it'll be. The The different element powers are also fun to use, and it adds a kind of strategic element to the game that makes you think about what attacks are best in the situation. Some of the backtracking in this game is honestly the worst I've ever seen, considering the way you went to get somewhere sometimes just straight up disappears, and I don't really know how to get them back. The enemies are also a nice blend, but some of them are way too strong even when using the element they're weakest to. The boss fights are also either super easy, like just hit them a bunch, or it's just a boatload of goons that come out to fight you in their stead. The Earth Guardian is probably the worst one out of the elements because you never fight him directly. The Water Guardian was just rain around the rosy. The Fire Guardian just teleported everywhere, which was kind of annoying. The Air Guardian just kind of sat around cloning herself. Each realm has a bunch of puzzles and progressions. I did like that areas were locked behind certain elements, so you kind of knew where you could and couldn't go in that moment. Traversal across the levels wasn't too bad, except for parkour. This game has some of the worst parkour I've ever seen in anything, especially the air realm. Holy shit. This game could have been so good, guys. It really had the potential, but genuinely the air realm really soured how I feel about this game. The amount of times that I died just to be reset 15 minutes in the past, really hoping I didn't say 15 minutes ago, is astounding. The camera's not bad, but very similar to Shrek, which was fucking horrendous if you recall. The rough sections of this game remind me of the Munch parts of Oddworld, but slightly worse because there is no escape from it. The soundtrack was probably the best part of this game, but isn't helped by the repetitive noises from creatures everywhere. It's an okay game that had some very rough parts that made me not want to finish the game, which is why its rating is C. Friends, I'm going to be honest. I don't give a fuck about this game. The movement is slow, and when it's fast, it's still slow. Even when you're pedaling the entire time, it still feels like you should be moving faster. The camera is just as bad, if not worse than Shrek's. The only way to turn it is by turning your body like you're Batman before the Dark Knight movie. The game feels like it's trying so hard to be better than Tony Hawk. But there's nobody like Tony Hawk. Dave is just not him. Not every sport works as well in this format like skateboarding does, and that's okay. The collisions are questionable, the button detection is sometimes laughable. The level designs aren't bad, probably the best part of the game. The different locales were very well put together and hard to get lost in. You'll always know where you are after a couple of challenges. But my god, are the NPCs cycling around annoying as hell. The tricking is somehow stiff even though you're on a bicycle. How have you done that? The pixel perfect accuracy needed to do grinds is absurd, and the angles needed to jump off are so precise it's like I'm back in my high school geometry class. Don't make me do math in my silly BMX game. It's just random things gameplay wise that are adding difficulty when it's just adding to the number of destroyed TVs and controllers. No, I don't need to be perfectly aligned to pedal out of a ramp. Why the fuck would you put that mechanic in here? The music is so underwhelming and bland, I basically turned that shit off and just listened to the sounds of bike chains and Dave grunting because he fell off the fucking bike again. In general, terrible fucking trick-based sports game. Final rating, D. It's honestly really disappointing that every non-launch game in November 2001 was boring. None of them felt like they had much worthwhile substance and were just repetitive nonsense games. F1 is just a racing game, Amped couldn't come close to living up to Dark Summit. Kabuki Warriors wasn't even a game. Azurik was such a slog to get through that not even the story that lasted a total of 5 cutscenes if we count the intro before the main menu was interesting, and Dave Mirra is just a lackluster Tony Hawk clone. All in all, stick to the launch titles if you're looking at November 2001, but do not worry. Brighter days are ahead because December 2001 is stacked with goods. So stay tuned, like the video if you did, and subscribe to see more games. Bye for now.